Feel that. That isn't just noise. That's a meticulously crafted symphony of destruction. It's an invitation, really. An immediate jolt into a world where every bullet matters and every single explosion tells a story.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a taste, of what we're tearing into today. Welcome to the Deep Dive, your express lane to being truly well-informed, packed with surprising insights and, well, just enough humor to keep you utterly hooked. Today, we're plunging into a game that dared to redefine its genre, a title that made a really audacious promise. To do for shooting what Burnout did for racing Tear It Apart.
A huge promise.
It's huge. Get ready for Black, the 2006 first-person shooter from the masters of mayhem, Criterion Games. This wasn't just another game, it was an experience. Celebrated for its groundbreaking focus on utterly destructive environments and cinema-quality sound design that, honestly, even now, is pretty much unparalleled. Our mission, should you choose to accept this dive, is to unearth the hidden depths of this incredibly intense experience. We're going to explore how Black meticulously engineered the sense of palpable tension, how it ignited curiosity with every single bullet fired, and ultimately left you questioning everything you believed about the protagonist's mission long after the credits rolled. This isn't just a look back, it's an examination of how artful design can subtly manipulate your perceptions, dramatically elevate the stakes, and deliver a narrative punch far beyond what, frankly, anyone expected from a seemingly straightforward shooter.
And our guide through this explosive landscape is a comprehensive overview of the game, right? Meticulously compiled from sources detailing its plot, its groundbreaking gameplay, the unique development journey, its critical reception, and even that tantalizing prospect of its unfulfilled future. This lets us really connect the dots between the sheer spectacle of the gameplay and the deeper, often unsettling narrative currents running underneath. This deep dive is designed to ensure you're not just well-informed, but actually surprised. Delivering those genuine aha moments that reveal the intricate layers of its visionary design. What becomes immediately apparent, and what I find genuinely captivating, is how Black's unique narrative framework. Well, it immediately establishes a tone of profound mystery and intensely high personal stakes.
Right from the start.
Exactly. It cleverly shifts the focus beyond just what you're shooting at to why you're pulling the trigger, and, most crucially, who is truly orchestrating events from the shadows. The game doesn't just hand you a weapon, it thrusts you into an interrogation, immediately putting you under the gun, metaphorically speaking, forcing you into a situation where the truth is as elusive as the enemy.
Yep.
This prompts a crucial question right from the outset. Can a seemingly conventional first-person shooter genuinely deliver a truly mind-bending plot that ultimately redefines everything you thought you were fighting for?
And the answer?
The answer, as we'll soon meticulously discover, is an emphatic and resounding yes. And it's a journey steeped in escalating tension and relentless curiosity.
Okay, let's properly set the stage then for this absolute explosive experience. Black didn't just arrive in 2006, it burst onto the scene, didn't it? With the force of its own in-game explosions.
Absolutely.
Developed by Criterion Games, published by Electronic Arts for the PlayStation 2 and Xbox, it immediately got the gaming world talking. Now, for anyone who knows Criterion, their name is synonymous with the Burnout racing series.
Right, the Destruction Kings.
Exactly. Games that reveled in high-speed crashes, visceral destruction, and an almost cinematic flair for vehicular mayhem. And with Black, they explicitly declared their ambition. They wanted to do for shooting what Burnout did for racing Tear It Apart. So let's deeply unpack this idea of cinema-inspired action and those highly promoted destructive effects. In the crowded console market of 2006, what did that actually look and feel like? And how did it signal to players that this wasn't just another military shooter, but something entirely different, something engineered to keep you right on the edge of your seat?
That's a really astute observation, and it's absolutely crucial to understanding Black's impact. In 2006, the shooter genre was thriving, but many titles were gravitating towards either gritty realism or increasingly complex tactical gameplay. Black, however, defiantly chose a different path. It embraced an almost unadulterated Hollywood blockbuster ethos. When Criterion spoke of cinema-inspired action, they weren't just talking about impressive cutscenes, they meant the intrinsic feel of the gameplay itself. Imagine those, over-the-top action movies where entire environments are just collateral damage walls crumbling under intense gunfire, pillars disintegrating.
Yeah, total chaos.
Total chaos.
Yeah.
And the sheer visual and auditory spectacle becomes the real star. Black promised to deliver precisely that kind of visceral, unadulterated chaos directly into the player's hands. This wasn't a game about cautiously hiding behind cover and peeking out. It was about systematically tearing that cover apart.
Right.
This revolutionary promise of widespread environmental destruction, combined with the sheer scale and concussive force of the explosions, immediately set it apart. It stoked immense curiosity among players because it fundamentally shifted expectations. It transformed the entire environment into a dynamic, perilous, and utterly engaging element of every single firefight, constantly amplifying the tension and raising the stakes with every shattered pane of glass or crumbling concrete block.
And crucially, the game wastes absolutely no time throwing you into the deep end, right? Not just with its spectacular action, but with its utterly compelling and complex plot. You don't begin with some mundane training montage or a quiet procedural briefing. Nope. Instead, the player is immediately thrust into the shoes of Sergeant First Class Jack Keller, a highly decorated U.S. Army Special Operations soldier who is already undergoing an intense interrogation regarding his past missions.
Already under pressure.
Immediately. These missions, as we gradually learn, involved a deeply unsettling and menacing terrorist organization known only as the Seventh Wave. This immediate immersion into the claustrophobic confines of an interrogation room instantly establishes a profound sense of tension and unease. It ingeniously shifts the game's core focus from executing orders and fighting to recalling those actions under immense pressure, forcing you to question the reliability of the narrative from its very first breath.
Precisely. The choice of this narrative framing is genuinely brilliant, and it immediately elevates the tension. Starting with an interrogation fundamentally communicates that Keller isn't just a conventional hero, he's a suspect.
Yeah, or at least under suspicion.
Or at the very least, an operative under intense, potentially hostile scrutiny. It's a retroactive storytelling device that imbues the entire experience with a profoundly different tone. The narrative isn't unfolding in real time in the present, it's being painstakingly recounted under duress.
Right.
Forcing you, the listener, to continuously question the veracity and motivations behind Keller's memories and actions. How does this immediately elevate the stakes for Keller, and by extension for you, the player? It strongly suggests a profound, hidden agenda lurking behind everything he's done, planting deep seeds of doubt and igniting immense curiosity from the very first moments. It's a masterful way to make the story feel intensely personal and fraught with danger, because Keller's entire future, his very identity, is hanging precariously in the balance. It creates this powerful undercurrent of unease.
And the stakes, as you alluded to, they couldn't possibly be higher, could they? The unknown interrogator, whose identity remains shrouded in mystery for a good chunk of the narrative, doesn't mince words whatsoever.
Not at all.
His delivery is chillingly calm as he explicitly states that unless Keller cooperates fully, lays bare every detail of his past operations, both he and all his actions will be utterly declassified.
Which is devastating for someone like him.
Devastating. Now, for a Black Ops soldier like Keller, declassified isn't merely a bureaucratic term or a change in status. It's a death sentence to his professional life. It leads inexorably to a court-martial, a dishonorable discharge from service, and ultimately life imprisonment. Keller, initially resistant and clearly a man accustomed to operating far outside the conventional rules, eventually, reluctantly agrees to meticulously recount his story, and the weight of that decision is just palpable.
This is truly the ultimate raise-the-stakes moment, isn't it? And it's delivered with such cold, unsettling precision. It's no longer simply about mission success or valiantly defeating a terrorist threat. It's now fundamentally about Keller's reputation, his personal freedom, and, his entire future. It introduces a deeply personal, existential threat that transcends the traditional battlefield. Let's think about this. Why would a highly specialized Black Ops unit member face such an incredibly harsh sentence for merely performing his missions, even covert ones?
Yeah, it implies something went seriously wrong. Seriously wrong. It powerfully implies a much deeper level of misconduct, perhaps a gross ethical breach, or even a systemic cover-up orchestrated by unseen forces. This immediately compels you to wonder what Keller could possibly have done or been forced to do to warrant such a severe and absolute punishment. It also makes you question how much of his impending story is truly his own account, and how much is being subtly coerced or strategically shaped by his unseen captor. This pervasive uncertainty generates a powerful sense of curiosity and unease, because you're not just observing a narrative, you're delving into a potential conspiracy where the line between right and wrong, and even truth and deception, is incredibly blurred, constantly raising the emotional and narrative stakes.
So it's immediately clear Keller isn't merely fighting against external terrorists. He's fighting for his very life, his name, his entire identity as a soldier. That's an almost unbearable burden to place on a protagonist right from the absolute beginning.
And it immediately ignites a powerful sense of curiosity about what precisely he could have done wrong, what profound secrets he might be desperately attempting to hold back. With that immense, crushing burden hanging over him, let's jump headfirst into Keller's harrowing story and discover the very first mission that brought him to this interrogator's relentless table.
Let's do it.
Okay, Keller's recounted missions begin just 4 days prior to his intense interrogation. He and his elite military unit launch a daring assault on a seventh-wave stronghold nestled deep within the city of Oblensk. Keller, with his characteristic lethal efficiency, successfully neutralizes 3 high-ranking members of the terrorist cell. But in utterly true Keller fashion, a detail that immediately establishes his rogue tendencies, he promptly disobeys direct orders by rushing headlong and impulsively into a heavily fortified terrorist-controlled building.
Always going rogue.
Always. And here's where the narrative truly begins to twist and turn, drawing you deeper into its web. Inside, he's ambushed by a mercenary who, surprisingly, doesn't dispatch him.
Right, that's strange in itself.
Very strange. Instead, Keller makes a truly shocking discovery. The mercenary is, in fact, an American. His name is William Lennox, a former CIA wet work operative who was widely believed to have faked his own death years ago in Cairo.
Oh.
And now, the chilling revelation, he is, in fact, the enigmatic and dangerous leader of the entire Seventh Wave organization.
Okay, this is an absolutely pivotal moment. Right. The first major plot twist, and it's expertly designed to significantly amplify curiosity and dramatically elevate the narrative stakes. Keller's insubordination, while a clear character trait indicative of his impulsive, maybe even reckless nature, leads him directly to this astonishing revelation about Lennox.
Right, his flaw leads to the truth.
Exactly. The sheer audacity of the fact that the leader of this formidable international terrorist organization is an American, a former CIA operative who meticulously faked his own death. It completely reframes the entire conflict. This isn't just a straightforward battle of good versus bad guys anymore. It instantly introduces profound layers of complexity, deception, and moral ambiguity. It forces you to question everything. Who is Lennox truly working for? Is the Seventh Wave genuinely an independent terrorist group? Or is it merely a sophisticated front for something far more insidious and powerful?
Yeah, the possibilities are huge.
Huge. The emotional tension escalates dramatically because the enemy is no longer a clear-cut other from a distant land. It's someone who once operated firmly on our side. And that deeply unsettling knowledge makes every subsequent action Keller takes feel fraught with deeper, more dangerous meaning, drawing you into a complex web of intrigue where trust is just a dangerous luxury.
Absolutely. That moment of realization, it just redefines the entire landscape of the conflict. The clear lines blur and the mission suddenly feels far more dangerous and personal. From that bombshell, Keller's missions escalate with relentless speed and intensity. His next critical assignment involves crossing a heavily patrolled border into Trineska, a region clearly identified as a hotbed of Seventh Wave activity.
More danger.
More danger. Imagine navigating the treacherous Vladnik Canal, a vital waterway now choked with enemy patrols, where danger lurks around every bend, with the objective of utterly destroying a critical enemy base and a substantial weapons cache. This early in the game, it immediately establishes the sheer scale and reach of the Seventh Wave's operations, making the threat feel truly global. After successfully breaching and neutralizing that threat, Keller links up with the formidable McCarver, the seasoned commander of Black Ops Team Bravo, at a remote farmhouse under heavy siege. This isn't just a brief rendezvous. The game plunges you into a brutal, drawn-out firefight, where the farmhouse itself becomes a dynamic canvas for the game's acclaimed destruction physics. Walls splintering, wooden beams disintegrating, cover crumbling under sustained fire. It all creates a palpable sense of desperation and urgency.
You really feel that environment breaking down around you.
Totally. From that harrowing engagement, the newly formed team pushes deep into the industrial heart of Nazrani, their primary target. A massive, sprawling arms factory, the very engine of the Seventh Wave's destructive power. But reaching it is a gauntlet. forcing them to navigate through an eerie, heavily defended old graveyard where every tombstone could conceal a sniper. And then a tightly packed urban town before finally assaulting and destroying the town's iron foundry, its productive capacity. It's during this relentless series of high-stakes operations that Solomon, the third crucial member of their elite unit, finally joins the fray, completing Team Bravo. Every one of these distinct locations isn't just a backdrop, it's a masterclass in environmental storytelling, meticulously crafted to demand tactical adaptation and to showcase the game's commitment to making every bullet, every explosion truly matter, constantly reinforcing the colossal scale of the threat and Keller's increasing isolation from conventional military protocol.
These missions perform a phenomenal job of establishing the sheer scope of the Seventh Wave's nefarious operations and the utterly relentless intensity of the combat Keller is perpetually immersed in. The constant geographical progression through vastly different, intensely hostile environments, from canals and besieged farmhouses to ancient graveyards, bustling towns, and industrial foundries, builds an almost suffocating sense of relentless progression and ever-present danger.
Yeah, you never get a break.
Never. You, the player, are never truly afforded a moment to catch your breath. Each location is vividly presented as heavily defended, meticulously designed to present distinct tactical challenges and provide ample opportunities for the game's famous and gratifying destruction physics to shine spectacularly. The introduction of McCarver and Solomon suggests the formation of a cohesive team dynamic. Yet Keller's earlier actions, particularly his blatant insubordination in Viblensk, immediately hint at potential internal conflict or friction within the unit.
Right. Is he a team player or not?
Exactly. This internal tension subtly parallels the external threat, creating a multi-layered sense of unease. This constant forward momentum, combined with the unfolding, increasingly complex plot, truly keeps you on the absolute edge of your seat, making you constantly wonder what fresh hell Keller will impulsively charge into next, building both excitement and an underlying sense of dread.
And Keller's almost pathological penchant for recklessness and insubordination, it just continues to define his approach to every mission, doesn't it?
It really does.
The team receives intelligence that Valencio, one of the 4 key high-value bosses of the Seventh Wave, is holed up within the chilling confines of Tivlis Asylum.
An asylum, great setting.
Perfect setting. Now, you might think after his earlier stunt with Lennox, Keller would have learned a modicum of discipline, but no. The team plans an assault on the asylum yard, and despite Solomon explicitly protesting that their orders are to hold their position and await further instruction, Keller once again disregards all protocol and rushes headlong into the labyrinthine asylum. He eventually locates Valencio after a spectacular act of blowing up a concrete machine gun nest, because of course that's Keller's signature move,
Naturally.
and proceeds to briefly, brutally interrogate him for Lennox's precise location.
This sequence involving Tivlis Asylum is undeniably critical. Keller's actions here, they transcend mere bravery, they border on sheer, unadulterated recklessness. It demonstrates a single-minded, almost obsessive focus on Lennox that utterly overrides all established military protocol and common sense. Totally obsessed. It powerfully reiterates his insubordinate and aggressively impulsive nature, a trait that is simultaneously his greatest strength on the battlefield and, as we'll increasingly discover, his profound potential downfall. This blatant defiance of orders significantly amplifies the internal tension within Team Bravo, as his teammates are clearly and uncomfortably aware of his rogue tendencies and potentially the dire consequences.
They must be thinking, what is this guy doing?
Exactly. And more importantly, if we directly connect this back to the overarching frame of his interrogation, it becomes agonizingly clear that these specific moments, Keller's direct, unauthorized interrogation of a high-value target, his flagrant disregard for orders, are precisely what his interrogator is meticulously scrutinizing, perhaps even expertly exploiting. This forces an important question for you, the listener. Is Keller a genuine hero taking genuinely necessary risks to achieve a critical objective? Or is he, in fact, a deeply exploitable liability being expertly manipulated by unseen forces, pushed to act precisely as predicted?
That's the core question, isn't it?
It really is. The very unsettling imagery of a Tivlis asylum and a concrete machine gun nest paints a grim, desperate, and claustrophobic tone, emphasizing the pervasive danger and further elevating the stakes of his intensely personal vendetta. These missions consistently highlight Keller's relentless, almost uncontrollable drive. But his furious pursuit of Lennox is about to take an even more dramatic and unsettling turn, leading to revelations that twist the entire narrative on its head and leave you questioning absolutely everything.
All right, so Keller is absolutely laser-focused on Lennox. It's an obsession that clearly transcends any official mission parameters, regardless of the personal or tactical cost. Based on the critical, albeit forced, intelligence extracted from Valencio, Team Bravo proceeds to a heavily defended dockyard. They manage to painstakingly clear the area, fighting through relentless enemy resistance, and prepare to link up with Alpha Team, expecting crucial reinforcement. However, the mission suddenly takes a disastrous and horrifying turn. Alpha Team is completely wiped out in a brutal, meticulously planned ambush. And Lennox, living up to his reputation as an elusive ghost, manages to slip away once more. In the wake of this utter catastrophe, the entire operation is officially declared canceled, a resounding failure. But Keller, well, as we've emphatically established, doesn't comprehend the word canceled.
Not in his vocabulary.
Not at all. Despite the official, unequivocal cancellation and the devastating loss of Alpha Team, Keller, driven by an almost manic obsession, unilaterally decides to lead a retaliatory assault against the Grozny Bridge. It's an act of pure, unadulterated defiance. Then, in an ultimate breathtaking act of personal vendetta and insubordination, he abandons his own team, leaving McCarver and Solomon at the heavily fortified gates of Lennox's compound.
Leaves his team behind.
Leaves them behind. He chooses instead to penetrate the complex defenses around and inside the infamous Spatrinov Gulag alone. During this solo, desperate, almost suicidal attack, Keller triggers a cataclysmic explosion from destroying two heavily reinforced concrete barricades, followed by a series of subsequent massive explosions in the final room of an underground bunker. An event that leads to him presumably killing Lennox.
Presumably?
Yeah, there it is.
That single word, presumably. It's such a crucial, almost sinister narrative flag. A real curiosity magnet, isn't it? It just hangs heavy in the air, hinting at something far more unsettling.
It absolutely is, and it's a masterstroke of narrative design. It's designed to keep you guessing and building tension even after what seems like a climactic victory. This entire sequence dramatically elevates the stakes, both for the overarching narrative and for Keller's rapidly diminishing personal freedom. The ambush and the devastating cancellation of the operation immediately highlight the Seventh Wave's chilling capability and Lennox's unsettling elusiveness.
Yeah, they're smarter than they seemed. Much smarter. It strongly suggests a deeper, more sophisticated intelligence at play, making the enemy seem far more formidable and interconnected than a typical disorganized terrorist cell. Keller's audacious decision to go entirely rogue, to completely disregard official orders and abandon his team for a solo desperate charge into a gulag. It represents the ultimate act of defiance, powerfully emphasizing his all-consuming obsession with Lennox.
It's personal now, purely personal.
Completely. It transforms the mission from a military operation with clear objectives into a deeply personal, almost suicidal vendetta, blurring the lines of command and purpose. The intense isolation of Keller within the brutal confines of the Gulag, facing overwhelming odds entirely alone, further heightens the palpable sense of danger and desperation. And that meticulously chosen phrase, presumably killing Lennox, is more than just a subtle hint. It's a crucial narrative device, specifically designed to immediately instill skepticism and foster a growing sense of profound unease. It's crafted to make you question the finality of Keller's actions and the true success of his mission, expertly amplifying the tension as you anxiously anticipate the inevitable, unsettling revelation that you just know is coming.
And then, boom, the rug is not just pulled out from under you, it's yanked away with such force that it leaves you utterly disoriented.
Completely blindsided.
You've just battled through this incredibly intense, desperate chase, culminating in Keller's rogue, insubordinate operation and the presumed death of Lennox, feeling a sense of hard-won, albeit unorthodox, victory. But then the interrogator, with chilling composure, delivers the absolute bombshell that shatters every preconceived notion. He reveals to Keller that authorities had, in fact, always known of Lennox's involvement in Seventh Wave.
Always known. Unbelievable.
Keller, with all his impulsive insubordination, his relentless drive, his reckless defiance, had acted completely predictably. He was, in essence, doing exactly what his meticulously constructed profile said he would.
He was playing their game without knowing it.
Exactly. His furious personal pursuit of Lennox wasn't just tolerated, it was both expected and welcome, an anticipated variable in a much larger equation. And the biggest, most gut-wrenching twist of all. Lennox is unequivocally not dead.
Wow. Just wow. This is unequivocally The climactic narrative twist, the ultimate unraveling that profoundly reconfigures everything the listener and Keller himself thought they knew about the entire conflict. It unleashes an immense wave of curiosity about the true, insidious purpose of the entire operation, because suddenly the seventh wave isn't the primary antagonist, it's merely a meticulously crafted tool.
A smokescreen.
A smokescreen. And Keller, the supposed hero, is nothing more than a pawn expertly maneuvered across a clandestine chessboard. His insubordination, the very character trait that defined his actions and drove his narrative, was an anticipated, calculated variable in a much grander strategic game being played by unseen, powerful hands. This revelation instantly prompts profound and unsettling questions about agency, about free will, and about the chilling ethics of black operations. Who are the real antagonists here if the obvious enemy was merely a decoy? What is the true mission if everything Keller passionately believed in was a meticulously constructed lie?
It just turns everything upside down.
Completely. It powerfully suggests a shadow organization far more powerful, insidious, and manipulative than the seventh wave could ever hope to be. The tension here becomes almost unbearable, a suffocating weight, as the true, horrifying scope of the deception comes into sharp, chilling focus. You realize Keller wasn't just blindly following orders. He was unwittingly performing a pre-scripted role. His very personality, his deepest impulses, expertly exploited for a purpose he could not fathom. This profound revelation makes
This isn't for his protection or to grant him a peaceful new life. It's purely to provide flawless cover so he can continue his relentless pursuit of Lennox, now operating completely off the grid, officially non-existent in the eyes of the world. The game ends with Keller being told with stark simplicity to get ready for his next assignment. No closure, just a terrifying new beginning.
The stakes at this point are not merely higher, they have become far more sinister and existentially profound. Keller is officially dead to the world, erased from all records, stripped of his past identity, and condemned to an indefinite secret mission, an eternal ghost.
A ghost hunter hunting a ghost.
Exactly. This chilling conclusion deliberately leaves you, the player, with a profound sense of unease, a gnawing feeling that the fight is far from over, and Keller is now deeper in the rabbit hole of deception than ever before. He's no longer just an operative, he's a phantom, condemned to a perpetual secret war, chasing an enemy who might also be a ghost, for reasons he still doesn't fully grasp. This ending deliberately sets up an endless, terrifying cycle of pursuit, making his personal freedom and any hope of redemption or peace even more elusive, perhaps forever out of reach. The very idea of a fake death for a Black Ops operative is utterly chilling. He's lost everything familiar, every connection, every anchor to his previous life for an unknown, unending, and profoundly dangerous future.
Yeah.
This kind of conclusion is meticulously designed to stick with you, building a lasting tension and immense unresolved curiosity about what happens next, well beyond the credits. It truly is the biggest cliffhanger imaginable, forcing you to ponder the true, soul-crushing cost of being an unwitting tool in such a grand and merciless deception.
The plot of Black is, without a shadow of a doubt, a masterclass in not just building tension, but in meticulously delivering truly surprising and unsettling twists. It brilliantly transforms what on the surface appears to be a straightforward shooter into something far more intricate, psychologically unsettling, and undeniably memorable. But the sheer genius of the game extended far beyond its captivating story, didn't it? It delved deep into the very mechanics and the unique aesthetic of how it viscerally felt to play.
Absolutely. That's where the Criterion touch really shines.
Okay, let's shift our focus then to the raw, visceral, almost tactile experience of playing Black, because that's where its true revolutionary innovation blazed. Criterion, with their characteristic swagger, famously declared their intent to do for shooting what Burnout did for racing, tear it apart. And they achieved this audacious goal with a dual, almost obsessive emphasis, first on truly dynamically destructible environments, and second on the meticulous, almost fetishistic handling and behavior of real-world firearms. They were so utterly dedicated to this vision, so committed to making every shot count, that they didn't shy away from labeling the game controversially gun porn.
Which certainly got attention.
It definitely did. Now, gun porn, that's an incredibly bold and provocative label, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it perfectly encapsulates the game's almost singular obsession with making every single shot fired feel impossibly impactful, consequential, and deeply satisfying. This wasn't merely about striving for realism, it was about generating an almost primal, visceral satisfaction for the player. Bullets weren't just abstract projectiles. They would leave instantly visible, lasting damage on buildings, terrain, and various objects. You'd see plaster chipping off walls in cascades, concrete cracking with satisfying detail, wood splintering with an almost painful authenticity. It was a dynamic, ever-changing canvas of destruction.
You felt powerful.
Incredibly powerful. And the guns themselves were rendered with an astonishing level of detail and accuracy, almost reverentially, even if some features were cleverly stylized or exaggerated to maximize their destructive effect. This unprecedented attention to detail created a level of immersion that was genuinely ahead of its time, an experience where you felt like you weren't just shooting at a target, but fundamentally altering and reshaping the very environment with every pull of the trigger, constantly amplifying the tension by making the world itself reactive to your every action.
That's a crucial distinction, and it speaks volumes about Criterion's design philosophy. His gun porn wasn't just about graphical fidelity. It was about elevating player engagement with the very tools of destruction to an entirely new level. The philosophy ensured that every weapon not only looked distinct, but felt distinct and powerful, not just in its visual design, but in its unique recoil, its resonating sound profile, and the tangible, immediate impact it had on the gameplay.
You could feel the difference between weapons.
Absolutely. This approach fundamentally elevated the gameplay experience beyond simply pulling a trigger. It instilled a deep appreciation for the meticulous craftsmanship of these virtual weapons. It implied a profound understanding of what truly makes shooting games satisfying, the immediate, measurable, and spectacular consequence of your actions. When a bullet chips concrete or tears through a plaster wall, it's not merely an animation, it's a tangible consequence, a direct testament to the raw power you wield. This made the environment itself not just a static backdrop, but an active participant in the destruction, which was absolutely revolutionary for its time, creating a palpable sense of consequence and constantly raising the perceived stakes of every firefight by making cover a temporary, fragile concept.
And the immersion went even deeper, didn't it? Ingeniously utilizing some truly innovative visual and sensory cues. One notable and genuinely original feature was the dynamic use of real-time blurs specifically while reloading your weapon. It gave an almost cinematic depth of field and more perspective to the immediate game world. It instinctively draws your eye, either to the intricate action of the reload itself or to the immediate surroundings as you rapidly prepare for the next engagement. But here's where Black truly pushed the boundaries, where it gets really compelling. When the player's health drops below 2 bars.
Okay, the panic mode.
Panic mode. The screen doesn't just flash a generic red warning or provide a simple HUD indicator. Instead, the entire screen dramatically loses all color, shifting to an intense black and white palette. Simultaneously, the character's heartbeat becomes the dominant, almost deafening noise, thumping loudly and frantically in your ears.
Thump, thump, thump.
And the game itself subtly enters a disorienting slow motion. And to culminate this physiological assault, the controller's large and small motors are intricately programmed to match the systolic and diastolic parts of that frantic heartbeat, making you physically feel Keller's panic, his desperation, directly in your hands.
What's truly captivating here is how Black masterfully employs every available sensory tool, from graphical effects to intricate haptic feedback, to profoundly deepen the player's immersion and drastically amplify the feeling of imminent danger. That real-time blur during reloading is far more than just a visual flourish. It's a sophisticated cinematic technique that subtly yet effectively shifts your visual focus, directing your attention precisely where the developers intended, whether to the meticulous animation of the weapon or to the immediate lurking threat.
It keeps you focused.
It does. But it is the low health effects that are undeniably brilliant, a stroke of genius. By stripping away all color, dominating the entire soundscape with an accelerated heartbeat, subtly slowing down time, and physically rumbling the controller in perfect sync with that beat, the game doesn't merely tell you Keller is in mortal danger, it makes you viscerally feel it within your very being. These ingenious design choices are direct conduits to Keller's harrowing experience, simulating adrenaline and sheer panic in an incredibly physical and immediate way. This doesn't just raise the stakes for the character, it profoundly elevates them for you as the player, forging an undeniable, almost physiological connection to the relentless intensity and high-pressure stakes of the battle. It's an elicited physiological response that renders the threat palpable and the entire experience unforgettable, leaving an indelible mark on your perception of what a game can actually do.
So as you brilliantly articulated, they weren't just making guns look incredibly cool and powerful, they were making you feel the entire high-stakes experience, from the satisfying weight and kick of the weapon to the frantic pounding of your very own heart.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of sound,
Oh,
oh man, the audio design in Black is nothing short of legendary. A true masterpiece.
it really is.
Emphasizing its explicit action film heritage, the weapon sound effects weren't just generic. They were meticulously crafted and based on iconic sounds lifted directly from classic high-octane films. Think the instantly recognizable report of Bruce Willis's MP5 in Die Hard,
Classic.
the crisp, urgent crack of Jack Bauer's pistol in 24, or the thunderous roar of Arnold Schwarzenegger's Uzi in True Lies. This deliberate choice immediately taps into a shared cultural understanding of what intense action sounds like, bypassing the need for any lengthy explanation and directly engaging the listener's memory and expectations of power and danger. But the truly groundbreaking innovation, the one that solved a persistent problem in action games, was how they brilliantly dealt with the potential cacophony of noise that would typically arise during heavy, chaotic gun battles.
Right, the wall of noise problem. Exactly. Instead of attempting to give each individual weapon model a distinct, often overwhelming sound, the incredibly talented sound designers developed what they ingeniously called the choir of guns concept. It was a technical marvel.
Explain that a bit more, it's fascinating.
Well, each enemy was dynamically assigned its own voice, a low, medium, or high pitch. This allowed all the disparate weapons being fired in any particular scene to expertly harmonize rather than clash discordantly.
So it's like an orchestra of gunfire.
Precisely. It's almost as if the game itself is conducting a complex orchestra of bullets, explosions, and war cries, constantly raising the sonic stakes for you with a powerful, cohesive wall of sound. On top of that, the immersive and dramatic music was composed by the incredibly talented Chris Tilton, with a powerful main theme co-authored by none other than the Oscar-winning maestro, Michael Giacchino himself,
Wow, Giacchino.
and recorded at the prestigious Newman scoring stage. Given this unparalleled dedication to audio excellence, it's absolutely no surprise that Black's sound design was not only nominated for Best Audio at the 2006 BAFTA Video Games Awards, but also proudly won Best Art and Sound.
This dedicated, almost fanatical approach to sound design is undeniably a cornerstone of Black's unique identity and its enduring legacy. The choir of guns concept is just a brilliant technical and artistic solution to a pervasive problem in first-person shooters, where too many distinct weapon sounds can quickly devolve into an indecipherable, cacophonous sonic mud.
Yeah, just noise.
Just noise. Criterion's solution was to subtly abstract, but not diminish. They weren't striving for perfect individual weapon realism. Instead, they ingeniously designed harmonized voices for groups of enemy weapons, maybe a low-frequency rumble for distant heavy machine guns, a mid-range staccato for a barrage of assault rifles, and a high-pitched crackle for the closer pistols. When these voices were expertly combined, they blended seamlessly like sections of a powerful orchestra, creating an overwhelming yet coherent wall of sound that was both incredibly impactful and never jarringly discordant. It truly is a masterclass in Foley artistry and applied psychoacoustics, meticulously crafted to make the player feel utterly surrounded by intense, high-fidelity chaos, rather than just a jumbled mess of competing noises.
It's sonic storytelling.
It really is. By connecting these weapon sounds to iconic action films, the game immediately taps into a deeply ingrained cultural understanding of what intense action audibly feels like, bypassing the need for extensive exposition. This meticulous attention to audio, combined with Giacchino's prestigious involvement, contributed immeasurably to the game's lauded cinema-inspired feel and its overall astonishing ability to build and sustain relentless tension, ensuring that every explosion, every bullet fired, every ricochet becomes a profoundly meaningful and engaging part of the experience, directly assaulting your senses and dramatically elevating the emotional stakes of every single battle.
It truly is incredible to consider just how much meticulous thought and revolutionary design went into crafting the visceral sensory experience of Black. But here's a truly curious, almost paradoxical development fact that, well, at first glance, seems utterly at odds with everything we've just discussed about its intricate narrative.
Okay.
The game was not actually developed with an overarching plot structure in mind from the outset.
Get out.
Really? Yeah. This incredibly intricate, deeply manipulative narrative we've meticulously explored was implemented as something of an afterthought, a late addition, towards the very end of its development cycle. The initial, much simpler idea for relating the plot in-game came from director Alex Ward, who originally envisioned just a minimalistic radio play-style voiceover spoken starkly over a black screen.
That is genuinely shocking. This detail, honestly, is a genuine aha moment, and perhaps one of the most surprising insights of this entire deep dive, precisely because the final plot became so intricate and manipulative, so integral to the game's lasting appeal.
Right, it seems impossible.
It does. But it paradoxically strengthens Black's legacy and offers a profound lesson in game design. Instead of a pre-written narrative dictating the gameplay itself, with its raw power, its visceral feedback, and its intensely immersive sensory experience, generated an almost undeniable need for a compelling story. It's almost as if the foundational mechanics of glorious destruction and relentless combat presented an unresolved mystery, a profound sense of why all this chaos was happening, that the writers then had to retroactively unearth and explain.
So the gameplay demanded the story.
Exactly. This led to the creation of a narrative of manipulation that perfectly mirrored the chaos and confusion the player already viscerally felt on the battlefield. This isn't just a fascinating design anecdote, it's a powerful testament to how foundational game mechanics, when executed with such unparalleled brilliance, can be so rich, so evocative, that they inherently demand a complex, layered narrative to fully contextualize and make sense of the player's visceral experience. It fundamentally flips the traditional game development model on its head, showcasing a unique creative process with a feeling dictated to fiction, ultimately enriching the entire deep dive experience for you. From the stunning visuals and meticulously crafted sound to the shocking plot twists, Black certainly left an indelible, explosive mark on the industry. But what did the discerning critics think of this audacious vision, and what became of its explosive legacy?
Right, let's talk reception. So after all that groundbreaking design, all that revolutionary sensory detail, and a truly mind-bending plot twist, how exactly was Black received by the gaming world? Well, it garnered favorable reviews across the board, which, while positive, maybe doesn't fully capture the fervent enthusiasm it inspired in many. Critics absolutely lavished praise on its visceral, satisfying gameplay, its truly revolutionary sound design, and its overall cinematic presentation, which undeniably delivered on that ambitious, cinema-inspired promise. But there were some very common and often vocal criticisms that created a curious dichotomy in its reception. Primarily, the game's relatively short length and the complete absence of any multiplayer mode, a feature that was rapidly becoming standard for shooters of that era.
Yes, single player only was a bold choice even then.
It really was. For instance, the esteemed The Times newspaper, in a glowing review, lauded it as fever pitch, vividly describing how you'd soon find yourself looking forward to the next mission briefing, if only for a chance to catch your breath. That truly speaks to the unrelenting tension and breakneck pace the game meticulously built.
Captures the intensity.
However, the AV Club, while acknowledging it delivered pretty good hours, lamented its concise 6 hours of gameplay, pointedly questioning whether $40 for Black's 8 levels, with no multiplayer mode and unlockable difficulty settings the only incentive to replay, was truly a justifiable value proposition. This tension between unparalleled quality and perceived quantity is a fascinating one, isn't it? It invariably leaves you curious about what could have been if that breathtaking experience had been expanded, perhaps by a few more compelling chapters.
It absolutely highlights the very deliberate trade-offs the game's designers chose to make, and it's a critical point for understanding its legacy. Black didn't aim to be everything to everyone. Instead, it excelled by doubling down on its core promises: the visceral, unparalleled destruction, the cinematic soundscape, the intensely immersive presentation. It consciously chose to specialize rather than attempt to adhere to every common genre expectation of the time, like a longer campaign or, crucially, a multiplayer component. While critics universally extol the game's intensity, its polish, and its groundbreaking aspects, the criticisms regarding its length and the absence of multiplayer certainly impacted its long-term perception for some segments of the audience. However, for those who profoundly valued a hyper-focused, incredibly polished, and intensely cinematic single-player experience, the intense, high-octane ride was unequivocally worth the shorter duration. It powerfully demonstrated that a game could be immensely influential and create a lasting impact by specializing, by meticulously perfecting a specific vision rather than attempting to generalize across numerous features. This dynamic prompts an important question. How much does the sheer, unadulterated quality and depth of a focused experience truly outweigh its duration or breadth in the grand scheme of a game's enduring legacy? It sparks a meaningful conversation about game design philosophy itself.
And despite those criticisms, despite those perceived shortcomings, Black undoubtedly found its dedicated audience and earned significant industry recognition that speaks to its lasting impact.
It certainly did.
The PlayStation 2 version, for example, proudly received a Gold Sales Award in the UK, a testament to selling over 200,000 copies, which is pretty impressive for a console-exclusive title in that competitive era. In Japan, the hugely influential Famitsu magazine, a notoriously tough critic, awarded the PS2 version a solid 32 out of 40 points, a strong endorsement.
That's very respectable from Famitsu.
Very. It was also prominently nominated for both First-Person Action Game of the Year and Outstanding Achievement in Original Music Composition at the prestigious 10th Annual Interactive Achievement Awards. But perhaps most tellingly, and a true marker of its enduring quality, IGN, in 2013, almost 7 years after its initial release, included it at a respectable #99 in its highly curated Top 100 Shooters list. That's a powerful statement about its lasting relevance.
If we connect these impressive achievements to the broader picture, Black undeniably carved out a significant, memorable niche for itself within the gaming landscape. It powerfully demonstrated that a game could be highly influential, critically acclaimed, and commercially successful by courageously doubling down on a specific artistic and gameplay vision, rather than diluting its focus. These robust sales figures and prestigious awards, coupled with its remarkable inclusion on IGN's highly regarded Top 100 list almost a decade later, firmly solidify its status as an undeniable cult classic and emphatically confirm its enduring impact on the entire FPS genre. It serves as compelling proof that sometimes a meticulously focused, incredibly polished experience, even if it is shorter in duration, can truly trump broader feature sets and leave a far more profound and lasting impression on players and critics alike. This makes it a truly meaningful conversation about the very philosophy of game design, with the intentional, brave decision to prioritize an unparalleled depth of visceral experience over a mere breadth of content paid off handsomely in both critical acclaim and commercial success, definitively ensuring its well-deserved place in gaming history.
So Black certainly left its mark, carving out its own unique space. But what about its potential future? Given that mind-bending cliffhanger of an ending, where Keller is left in this state of existential limbo, well, players were absolutely ravenous for more, weren't they? Hungry for answers to the profound questions the narrative raised.
Oh, definitely. The forums were buzzing.
Co-creator and designer Stuart Black himself candidly revealed that plans for a direct sequel were indeed well underway. However, and this is a poignant echo of the game's own themes of unseen forces, these plans were ultimately scrapped, tragically derailed due to those nebulous creative differences with Electronic Arts, the publisher.
The classic creative differences.
The classic line. It's a truly poignant ending to the Black story itself, replete with agonizingly unrealized potential and those frustrating, all-too-common creative clashes we frequently hear about in the notoriously demanding entertainment industry. But the developers' profound passion for the core Black philosophy, that commitment to visceral destruction, cinematic intensity, and groundbreaking sound, didn't simply die with the scrap sequel, did it?
No, thankfully not entirely.
Stuart Black, along with many of the original, talented developers who had poured their creative energy into the first game, went on to create Body Count, a spiritual successor that was eventually released in 2011 for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, this time developed by Codemasters.
Right, Body Count.
So, while Keller's specific, deeply unsettling story never received a direct continuation, the creative spirit, the ingenious design ethos, undeniably lived on in a new form. This narrative of creative differences and an unmade sequel builds a fascinating tension around the what-ifs of game development, almost eerily mirroring the game's own plot, where unseen, powerful forces often dictate the ultimate outcome of even the most determined individuals. It truly makes you wonder about the deeper corporate games being played behind the scenes and what might have been.
This unfulfilled sequel is a classic, almost textbook example of how external factors, particularly those opaque creative and business dynamics between developers and publishers, can profoundly shape a game's legacy and future. It certainly ignites an immense curiosity about what a direct sequel might have meticulously explored, especially given Keller's utterly unsettling new identityless assignment and the vast open-ended conspiracy that was revealed.
So much potential there.
So much. The very existence of Body Count powerfully demonstrates the developer's enduring passion and commitment to the Black philosophy of visceral destruction and intensely satisfying gunplay, even if it necessitated moving to a completely new publisher and establishing a new intellectual property. This makes you actively wonder what elements of the original magic might have been lost, or perhaps even unexpectedly gained, in that often challenging transition. While Body Count undoubtedly aimed to capture that same electrifying feeling, the original Black unquestionably remains a singular, iconic experience, its cliffhanger ending a tantalizing what-if that continues to fuel passionate speculation and discussion among its dedicated fan base to this very day. It further underscores the profound impact and unique strength of the game, that its core ideas and innovative approach were so powerful they compelled the team to essentially try and recreate that unparalleled experience under a different name, cementing its influential status.
From its jaw-dropping explosions and groundbreaking sound to its mind-bending, deeply manipulative plot twist, Black truly left an indelible mark on the gaming landscape, pushing boundaries and reshaping expectations. We've now journeyed through the explosive, relentless combat, immersed ourselves in the groundbreaking orchestral soundscape, and delved deep into the truly unsettling and manipulative narrative of Black.
What a ride.
It stands as a landmark game that audaciously challenged what a first-person shooter could truly be, not merely in its impressive mechanics, but in its very soul. It masterfully transformed the player from a simple soldier into an unwitting, manipulated pawn in a grander, unseen game of shadowy power. It took the provocative concept of gun porn and, through sheer artistry, elevated it to an art form, crafting an experience where every bullet, every concussive explosion, every frantic heartbeat meticulously heightened the tension and deepened the profound mystery.
Ultimately, Black isn't just a nostalgic trip into high-octane action and satisfying, gloriously destructive gameplay. It's a profound, deep dive into universal themes of control, of perception, and the unsettling, pervasive idea that even when we ardently believe we are making our own autonomous choices, we might, in fact, be performing a pre-scripted role within a much grander, meticulously written narrative. The game masterfully cultivated curiosity and dramatically elevated the stakes by constantly twisting its narrative, forcing Keller, and by extension, you, the listener, to rigorously question the very nature of his mission, his enemies, and indeed his own agency within it. It serves as a powerful reminder, encouraging you to critically examine the stories and information you encounter every day, whether in games or in life, and to truly consider who might be subtly, expertly pulling the strings.
So if even a highly trained Black Ops soldier like Jack Keller, with all his experience, his conviction, and his innate defiance, can be so expertly played, so utterly manipulated by a hidden authority, it raises a truly compelling and deeply personal question for you, the listener, to ponder. In a world overflowing with information where narratives are constantly being constructed, how do you truly know if you're the player, the one making the choices, or merely another piece on someone else's intricately designed board?